up in the bathtub. Ah! Oh God, not the psycho dream again. Hi everybody, Jacob the Animation Critic here. I bet you're wondering what the hell you just saw. Well, it involves today's movie. Well, it is nowhere near as bad as what I had to put up with last Christmas. Thank God for that. It is still, nonetheless, bad. This movie was built up to be one of the great classics of animation, so naturally I had high expectations, and unfortunately I was greatly disappointed. The name of this movie is The Snow Queen. Okay, so this movie isn't a classic in the sense that you're thinking of. In fact, chances are you've never even heard of this movie. But the people that do know this movie consider it to be one of the best animated films ever made. Among the most notable being Japanese animator Hayao Miyazaki, who claims the film inspired him to return to animation after a rough start that almost made him leave the industry altogether. In other words, films such as Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro would probably not exist if it weren't for this movie. I'd hate to disagree with one of the masters of animation, but I disagree. It may not be the worst movie I've ever seen, but considering what it was built up to be, it's still a huge disappointment. But why waste time talking about the film when we can talk about the film, I guess. Let's watch. So we open our film not with animation, but with live action, as we see a bunch of children at a Christmas party hosted by celebrity of the 1950s, Art Linkletter.
Well, what do we do next, Santa? The same thing we do every Christmas, Linkletter. Unhand me and pass out the gifts.
Now I know what you're thinking. What is the purpose of this segment? Well, I don't know for sure, but I have a theory. First of all, I should point out that this film was made in 1957 and released into the US in 1959. That's right, this is a foreign film, and its country of origin? The Soviet Union. I'm bringing this up because, well, the 1950s was not a very good time for American-Soviet relations. I am, of course, referring to a period of world history known as the Cold War, an ongoing rivalry between the capitalist United States and the communist Soviet Union. The war began in the late 40s and ended in 1991 with the collapse of the Soviet Union into Russia, Ukraine, and other small countries. Of all the decades into the period, it was probably the 1950s that was most concerned about the communist threat. My theory is that Universal, who is distributing the film in the US, thought the film would cause an uproar among American citizens believing the film was communist propaganda, so they added this scene to hide any hint of the film's country of origin. Again, this is theory, not fact, so don't criticize me for getting my facts wrong. Anyway, after 2 or 3 minutes of Linkletter handing out presents, he decides to read the children at the party a book called The Snow Queen. Actually, I take that back. He doesn't read to them. He convinces them to watch a movie based on the story through his magic mirror.
Slave in the magic mirror, come from the far...
No. Not that magic mirror. Though trust me, this movie would be much more interesting if that was the case.
Everybody, now look hard. Look real hard and repeat after me.
One snowflake, two.
One snowflake, two.
Three snowflakes, four.
Three snowflakes, four.
And now you'll see the Snow Queen if you add 1,000,000 more.
So then we get to the actual movie. After the opening credits, we're greeted by a little man, elf, dwarf, something named Old Dreamy, played by veteran voice actor Paul Frees. He claims that it was him that gave Hans Christian Andersen the idea to write the story of the Snow Queen.
Frankly, I don't look like a prince, do I? I'm really a little magician, a special kind. Hip.
While the ideas surrounding this character are pretty creative, I don't really see the purpose of this character existing. Old Dreamy serves as the film's narrator, which I have nothing against, but if you're going to create a character out of the narrator, then have him serve a purpose to the story, or else there's no point in having the character exist. Let's take Jiminy Cricket from Pinocchio, for example. He works as a narrator because he not only contributes to the story, but he also has a decent amount of character development, making his narration have a much more meaningful purpose, which unfortunately I don't see with Old Dreamy.
Absolutely. My magic worked like it has never worked before. I opened my dream slumberella and whirled it round and round, and in the great master's dreams a village appeared.
So Old Dreamy begins telling the story of the Snow Queen, as we cut to a small village where we find our main characters, Kay and Gerda.
Gerda, watch what you're doing.
Oh.
Be careful.
Oh, I'm clumsy today. Poor Mr. Highbuttons. He must think it's raining.
Wow. Not even 2 seconds with these characters and I already find problems. First of all, the designs of these characters are creepy. I wouldn't mind too much except the irises in their eyes are far too big, and it makes the rest of the face and the body for that matter come off as unnatural and peculiar. Second, the voice actors do not try to sound like children. These are supposed to be 2 children about 10 or 12 years old at the very most, and yet they sound like college students. I wouldn't mind adults voicing children, but they have to at least try to imitate them.
They'll grow up side by side.
Like us.
And will always be friends.
Like us, yes.
And always be happy together.
And always love each other, like us, forever.
Forever.
Oh, by the way, the fact that Kay and Gerda love each other is their only defining character trait. Yeah, they have no other distinctive features in their personalities. They're that bland. Anyway, winter soon comes to the village as Kay and Gerda listen to their grandmother's story about the snowflakes and their origins.
The snowflakes come from the very far north, and they fly over stormy seas, through icy winds, blizzards, and fog. They are loyal servants of the Snow Queen. In that palace lives the Snow Queen herself.
Oh, is she real pretty?
You can scarcely imagine how beautiful she really is. Cold but beautiful. She is all ice. Glittering, dazzling ice. And yet she is alive. Her eyes shine like stars, but they have no warmth.
Hello, my nightmares for the next 2.5 weeks. Seriously, of all the creepy character designs in this film, the Snow Queen takes the cake. It's not really scary, so to speak, but there's just something very disturbing about it that makes me feel very uncomfortable whenever she's on screen. But with all that said, apart from that, the Snow Queen is yet another really dull character. In fact, she barely gets any screen time. She gets 4 or 5 scenes, and that's about it. You know, a movie called The Snow Queen, you'd expect to see the gosh darn Snow Queen. But hey, I guess that's not so bad. I mean, at least we don't have to see any more of her creepy stares.
Look! There she is! It's the Snow Queen!
I hate you so much, movie.
Well, let her come in. I'll put her on the hot stove and she'll melt.
Unbeknownst to the two, the Snow Queen sees Kay and Gerda through her magic mirror.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
No. I told you, not that magic mirror. Because the Snow Queen can't learn to take a joke, she shatters her mirror into pieces and proceeds to use them to get her vengeance.
Go, splitters of ice, fly away. Fly throughout the entire universe into the wild noise of the wind. Fly into the eyes and hearts of those who have offended me. And to him who gets a grain of ice in his eyes, may everything look ugly. And let him who gets a splinter in his heart become evil and do evil in the world. Fly, splitters of ice, fly away.
So Kay gets some of the ice splinters stuck in his eyes and heart, and he turns into a complete jerk.
Our flowers are pretty roses. They're crushed and dying.
Goody! Throw them in the rubbish heap where they belong.
Really? All this because some kid made an innocent joke? Come on, Snow Queen, my brother has a better understanding of humor than you do. Heck, Sheldon Cooper has a better understanding of sarcasm and humor than you do.
That evil Snow Queen, she has cast a spell over our boy. And now he's bad. He's very mean to dear Gerda because his heart is a lump of ice. How awful.
Thank you for making the obvious even more obvious, Old Dreamy. Again, no purpose of this character whatsoever. The next day, Kay and Gerda go outside to play and, what a shock, he continues to act like a big jerk. But then the Snow Queen comes into the village to take Kay away. Because? Yeah, I get the fact that he insulted her, but wasn't turning him into a jerk enough. And for that matter, what does she plan on doing with him? I don't understand what use a woman who's literally ice cold has for a young boy. Anyway, as soon as spring arrives, Gerda begins her grand quest and search for Kay. After getting no information from the animals, she goes to a river and offers it her red shoes in exchange for helping her find Kay. That's right, the river has a mind of its own. It never talks and doesn't even have any facial features, but it can somehow understand Gerda. But hey, if that's your biggest concern right now, you're in a good place. Eventually, she arrives at the home of an old sorceress whose garden is in eternal summer. She then puts Gerda to sleep by combing her hair, making her lose her memory so that she may keep Gerda as her own. But Gerda wakes up and regains her memory upon seeing two familiar-looking roses. So was there any real purpose of that scene? That scene was completely pointless. Actually, maybe it wouldn't be if they would have just left Gerda without her memory for a while. That would add so much more substance and complexity to the story. If they wanted to give her memory back, that's fine, but they shouldn't do it so soon. Anyway, upon escaping the garden, Gerda sees that a huge chunk of time has passed and it is now autumn. Wow, so that scene not only wasted our time but the characters as well? Isn't that odd? Anyway, as Gerda continues her adventure, she meets a raven named Mr. Corax, also played by Paul Frees. She tells the raven about Kay, and he claims that he may know where she is.
Got a bird's eye view of that lad last month.
Where is he now?
He is in the palace. Our princess took a fancy to him.
My Kay won't take a fancy to her.
He will. This won't let your boy out of her sight. They're palsy-walsy. Caw! Caw!
Gerda and Mr. Corax arrive at the palace where they think Kay might be, and also come across Mr. Corax's lady friend Henrietta. As soon as everybody living in the palace goes to sleep, she and the raven sneak into the castle and make it to the room where they think Kay might be.
Kay?
You know what? I'm not even gonna bother. It's too obvious of a joke to make, and I'm not in the mood. The princess sleeping nearby is awoken by all the commotion and calls in her guards. But upon lighting a few candles, they see there is no threat in Gerda and the ravens as she tells them about her quest. Meanwhile, we see Kay up in the frozen north, and guess who we find? That's right, the Snow Queen. What, you forgot she was in this movie? I did too. Though maybe that's for the best. Anyway, she tests the coldness inside Kay's heart by asking him if he remembers what love is.
Tell me, Kay, what is love? What love is? No. But I do remember. Gerda! Gerda? Yes. You remember Gerda? Yes. Child, your heart is cold. Ice. There is no room for love. None.
Really? Another pointless scene? Okay, so the scene shows that Kay still remembers Gerda. But apart from that, the scene does absolutely nothing. This could have actually been very useful in defining the Snow Queen's character, or at least Kay's, but really, neither character does that much. You heard right, the Snow Queen, the title character of this movie, really does not do that much. Something is very wrong here, people, and I think it should be obvious. After that scene, we cut back to Gerda as she is given a golden chariot by the princess to help her find Kay. But as they ride through the woods, they are attacked by a gang of bandits, among them a young girl ironically named Angel. They strip Gerda of everything that she's been given and then take her prisoner under Angel's commands.
We are a one-some, we are a two-some, we're a group-some three.
Hello, song. It's barely a minute long, let's just skip it. As the bands arrive at their hideout, Angel takes Gerda to her room and ties her up and makes her one of her pets, among such others as a reindeer, some rabbits, a fox, and some birds. Gerda tells Angel about her journey to find Kay, when the birds claim to have seen where he is gone.
We know where he is. The Snow Queen stole him. Ooh.
She stole him?
What?
She stole him?
You're just realizing this? You clearly saw the Snow Queen take Kay away. You've been telling everybody you've met on this trip about what's happened. And you're just realizing that the Snow Queen took Kay. You know what? Just screw it. This movie is not worth my ramblings. Feeling sympathy for Gerda, Angel lets her reindeer free on the condition that he takes Gerda to the Snow Queen's fortress. As the two travel to their destination, they come across an old woman who tells them about her cousin who knows where the Snow Queen resides. And after that, they meet the old woman's cousin who tells them that the Snow Queen's castle is only 10 miles away. By the way, if it seemed like I just rushed this part, that's because these scenes really don't add that much and I really want to get this over with as soon as possible. Unfortunately, before they can make it, the reindeer collapses and is unable to take Gerda any further, forcing Gerda to complete the journey alone. Luckily, she does manage to make it to the palace despite the forces of winter working against her, and finally manages to find Kay. And how does she break his curse?
Don't you know me? Kay.
So hot. How painful here. Oh, how strange.
Gosh! An eye splinter. It has fallen from your eye.
Where am I? What am I doing here? Gerda, it's you.
Goodness, you recognize me, girl.
Oh, so it was love that ended up saving all the day. Boy, that message sure didn't seem forced the least bit now, did it? But then the Snow Queen returns to ruin the celebration, and what does she do? Absolutely nothing. In fact, you want to know how the Snow Queen is defeated through all this? Spring comes, and she melts. Weak. I mean, my God. That is probably the most boring way you can kill off your villain. Not the fact that she's melting, but it's the fact that she's done in a way that's not very entertaining, which makes no sense because you can make melting entertaining. Take the death scene from The Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz, for example.
You cursed brat! Look what you've done! I'm melting! Melting! Oh, what a world! What a world! Who would have thought a good little girl like you could destroy my beautiful wickedness? Ah, look out! Look out! I'm going!
That scene is entertaining. The witch's final lines are incredibly memorable, and the fact that it just comes right out of nowhere makes the scene more spontaneous and enjoyable. None of this is present in The Snow Queen. So, in the end, Kay and Gerda return home with the help of the people Gerda met on her journey, and they live happily ever after.
Oh, well, and so later, Kay and Gerda were married. But that, my dear friends, is another story.
A story that will never be told. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's The Snow Queen. And I'm sorry, Miyazaki. This movie sucks. While this may not be the worst movie I've ever seen, it nonetheless has very little to offer. The story isn't thought through very well, the characters are either useless or dull, and while the animation can be okay at times, the designs of these characters are just so unnatural and creepy that it counters the effect that the animation is trying to create. So really, nothing is being achieved by this movie. Overall, it's a weak, forgettable, and surprisingly unpleasant film. I don't have any much to say, but it sucks. Final grade, D. It sucks, really. I mean, after what I had to put up with last year, I was really hoping that this year would be much more enjoyable. But no. That's 2 bad Christmases in a row. Is there anything that can redeem this wonderful season? Wait. Netflix is now streaming Disney movies? Wait, which ones? Aristocats? Great Mouse Detective? Alice in Wonderland? Dumbo? The Muppet Movie? Yes! Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me.
I've never seen anything like that before.
And with any luck, I'll never see anything like it again.
No!
Play it again.
Oh, right.